So we're currently using Fantasy Pros, PPR, ADP, and it's going to change a lot. There's not a ton out there, so take it with a grain of salt. But whatever, it's still May, and still a good excuse to talk about these players. So best draft values, Dave, you said James Conner at RB 28, 84th overall. After David Montgomery, after Rashad White, Alexander Madison, here comes James Conner as one of your favorite draft values. You also said Alvin Kamara, who's going a round and a half after Conner, and Khalil Herbert, who's going super late as RB 40, 123rd overall. Who do you want to start with?
Let's start with Conner, who I have as my 24th ranked fantasy running back. He is not an attractive profile at all, but you think about the Arizona offense, and now it looks like there's going to be a big vacuum of targets with DeAndre Hopkins gone. And Conner's been there as a short yardage target for years. I don't know which other running backs are even going to play alongside Conner from game to game. There's huge risk involved with Conner. This isn't the case for him in round 4 either. This is the case for him in round 6, significantly higher than 93rd overall. You're going to get a running back who might be able to get you off to a decent start in PPR, and even against tough matchups in the past, we've seen him find the end zone. And that offensive line, theoretically, got better this offseason. So I don't mind taking the stab on Conner if you're thin on running back by the time you get to round 5.
I just can't even understand why he would last this long. I mean, what is the risk? He was RB9 per game last year.
No one likes the profile.
He's 28.
Right. When you say the profile, you just mean his age, right?
No, it's age, injury risk. You look at that offense, it's terrible. We've talked about how they might just punt on the year and not even have Kyler Murray come back from his injury. If they get off to a slow start, that makes sense. What does that leave Conner? Taking handoffs and short targets from Colt McCoy? The team's going to play from behind a lot. I think Conner will still play, even though they're trailing by 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. But there isn't a case for Conner to be just this certainly there isn't much of a case for him to improve efficiency-wise. He's not going to break out for 5 yards per carry this year. It's just hard to expect that. But the volume, when he's healthy, is good.
Okay. He scored 23.6, 13.4, 23.4, and 18.1. This is like top first round pick production in 4 games with Colt McCoy last year. Just so everybody knows. 23.6, 13.4, 23.4, and 18.1 fantasy points. And that was against the Rams, 49ers, Patriots, and Broncos. All right, so James Conner is early good value here. Alvin Kamara, about 100th overall, RB 31. After Javonte Williams, after James Cook, then we get Alvin Kamara, which obviously is just a big mystery. We talked about him a couple weeks ago. I'll just ask you again, if he's not suspended at all, when do you think Kamara gets drafted?
I think he will get drafted in round 5, maybe even late round 4, if there is 0 suspension. And you can maybe even make the case that he should be in round 3. Last year, he had a career low in fantasy points per game, guys. He had 14.1.
Yeah, I think
that's
3.
Still really good.
Yeah, what'd you say, Heath? 3?
3.
Okay, so people are going to be drafting soon in a lot of leagues. You've drafted some leagues, right, Heath?
No.
Some best balls?
No.
Eliminator? You didn't do any of that?
Oh, FC Eliminators, yeah. Fantasy Heroes Eliminators, yeah.
Okay, yeah, just curious, like where Kamara's going or where
those leagues are incomparable. You could start 3 quarterbacks and you don't have to start any running backs, wide receivers, or tight ends if you don't want to. I'm drafting one team currently that is all quarterbacks, kickers, defenses, and punters. So what? I do not believe maybe that's the ADP we're using right now.
Okay. All right. Let me go. I'll just leave Kamara at that. Let's go to Khalil Herbert, Dave. I can't believe it. He's going 123rd overall.
It's ridiculous. This is a likely starting running back for the Chicago Bears. He will split reps, but he's their best back, certainly their most explosive back. I've got him as like a round 6-7 turn type of player. I'm excited about his potential in this offense. Certainly should continue to see good efficiency playing off of Justin Fields. Is he going to be the short yardage goal line guy? That's an issue because there are 2 running backs on the roster that could handle that role. One of them's a rookie. I don't know if Matt Eberflus strikes me as a guy that's going to give that job to a rookie. The other one's Deontay Foreman. We've seen him play well over the past couple of seasons. But I think Herbert leads the way in terms of opportunities in this offense. And I think he's a pretty good running back, too. Happy to take the chance on him right around 70th overall.
I wonder how much people are factoring in Roschon Johnson and how much they should be, because this just really feels like a situation where to me anyway, where the rookie is not going to get a lot of work this year.
Don't be so sure about that.
Why?
He's going to compete for that playing time in training camp. He's more than just a plotting type of rusher. We know he doesn't have top end speed, but he's a quality running back who can catch. And he might even be able to have a leg up in pass protection, too, compared to the typical rookie. I think he's going to get an opportunity.
I right now have Herbert at 93, Roschon at 111, and Foreman at 112. I have absolutely no idea how many touches any of the three of them are going to get. I don't know how anybody could definitely think that Khalil Herbert's a better rusher than Deontay Foreman. And I think Roschon's probably the best pass catcher.
The best pass catcher?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know. I
mean, what would be the case that Khalil Herbert or Deontay Foreman is?
Well, definitely not Foreman. I just think if Johnson's going to make his – okay, look, this is just my guess, right? If Johnson is going to make an impact, it will be at the expense of Deontay Foreman. I do think Dave, you said he's not like a plotter. I think you said – I don't know what you said, but I think he's more like Foreman.
Thanks for listening.
I don't remember the word you said.
Foreman and Herbert are almost the same.
I don't agree with that. I think
huge efficiency guys that haven't shown the ability to handle volume or catch passes.
I don't really think of Khalil Herbert that way. I don't like Foreman. Foreman to me is just like a big running, like kind
He's
of.
He's not a plotter at all.
No.
Foreman?
No. He was an elite running back who suffered an Achilles injury. It took him a long time to recover.
He was.
And he's been awesome.
But he's not an explosive player.
He's had huge explosive plays the last 2 years.
Nah, I don't think he's.
Yeah, you might be thinking. You might not be thinking of.
Deontay Foreman was the guy who was on the Panthers last year?
I know who he is. I don't think of him that way. I don't think he's an electric player. I think he's.
I think we need to do some research on Deontay Foreman explosive play rate the last 2 years.
I'm on it.
Oh God, I'm just saying. I view him. First of all, when we had Chris Trapasso on, Dave, to talk about Roschon Johnson, we all compared him to Deontay Foreman. So
sure.
I don't know what has changed since then. I think
neither of them are plotters.
I think Khalil Herbert is a more electric player than both of them.
Agreed.
And Roschon Johnson has done almost nothing in college, by the way, right? Like he was Bijan Robinson's backup, so we may not know who he is. But he's a fourth-round rookie, and a lot of times fourth-round rookies don't really do anything, like Zamir White, Isaiah Spiller, Pierre Strong, and Hassan Haskins last year. So some of them do, like Dameon Pierce. And Tyler Algier was a fifth-round pick, but so was Snoop Connor and Jerome Ford and Kyron Williams and Ty Chandler. And so you know my theory. I think a lot of times rookies don't make the impact that people think they will, and I think he's the third running back, and usually the third running back doesn't do that much.
Unless something happens to one of the first two.
Yes, of course.
I agree. All right, what do you want to know about Deontay Foreman, Heath?
Go ahead, Heath.
Well, I wanted to go back to the pass catching thing. Khalil Herbert played 5 years in college and caught 34 passes.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Roschon Johnson played behind Bijan
Robinson
and caught 56 passes.
In how many years?
4. So 24 more in one fewer year with Bijan Robinson on the team for 3 of those.
Doesn't always translate. I think if you look at some of the profiles of these running backs in college, people don't consider them pass catching running backs, even if they have caught some passes. I can't remember.
I'm not saying that he is going to be Alvin Kamara. I'm saying of the 3 backs on the Bears. Now, Travis Homer's there also. Like, maybe there's a 4-back committee, in which case we shouldn't draft any of them in the top 100. No, Dave, I would like to compare the explosive plays for Khalil Herbert versus Deontay Foreman and see if there's this wide gap. I think Adam views Deontay Foreman as David Montgomery.
I bet a lot of people do.
Better.
All right. Who had the higher explosive rush rate?
Khalil Herbert.
The last 2 years, Herbert or Foreman?
2 years, Herbert.
No, I'd say I wouldn't be surprised if it was Herbert. I just don't think it's that far off.
9% for Herbert, 7.4% for Foreman, both of them in the top 30 among, it's basically the top half of running backs with at least 200 rushes over the last 2 seasons. Who had the higher avoided tackle rate?
No,
I would guess Herbert.
I would guess Herbert. I don't really put
You're
a lot
both
of stock
correct.
in that.
You are. That's correct.
Herbert has terrific advanced metrics.
Which is one of the reasons why I really like him. 19.7% for Herbert, 17% for Foreman. Again, close, Heath.
And both above average, right?
Yes. No, I would say that it's right around average. Technically, Herbert is above, Foreman is below. Average was 18.5.
Does anyone care anymore about this? Like, I mean, I think it's interesting, but I don't know how
It's interesting, but I just think Herbert is a different type of running back compared to Foreman and Robinson. I think Foreman and Robinson are kind of, or not Robinson, I'm sorry, Roschon Johnson. I think Foreman and Johnson are kind of similar. And so those two might end up competing for who the number 2 guy is in Chicago's offense. I think Herbert's a lock to be the number 1.
Let's go to Heath's list now. And Heath, your favorite draft values based on ADP, early ADP. Aaron Jones in round 5, 54th overall, RB 16 after Ken Walker, but before Joe Mixon, J.K. Dobbins, and Miles Sanders. Running back, good running back value in that round. My gosh.
Yes.
Traylon Burks, wide receiver 38, and Samaje Perine, RB 33. So Aaron Jones, people will. Yeah, what do you think is concerning people and pushing him to round 5?
I would just need to first say that Khalil Herbert would be the first ever 6th round running back to average 8.5 touches per game in his first 2 years in the league and be a lock to be the number 1 running back for the following year.
Did I ever say he was a lock?
No,
Completely not what I was saying. I was saying that Roschon Johnson, I don't think he's going to have a big role. Which team uses 3 running backs in a significant way? It doesn't happen.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think the Chiefs might have last year.
At the same time?
But regardless, I wasn't arguing they would use 3 running backs, as that I have no idea which one is better or will be used.
Okay, I will tell you that it's Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, obvious. I mean, you can look at his track record and his pedigree.
I agree. His track record, yeah.
I can't believe I'm trashing a former Jayhawk like this. I'm such a terrible person. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, Aaron Jones was just like why is Aaron Jones? And part of it is, but what RB what?
16.
That's not as awful. I don't think RB 16 should probably go in round 5.
Correct. Yes.
But I don't expect things to be much different for Aaron Jones. He obviously has more risk because he's older. But I think at least a portion of the community would think that because he hasn't had as much work, that he doesn't have as much tread on his tires, that the age doesn't matter as much. He was so much better running the ball last year than A.J. Dillon. I can't imagine Dillon getting a bigger share of the workload. He's probably still going to be close to second on the team in targets, like he always is. I think he's a borderline top 12 running back.
You know what's interesting? He's going, according to this early Fantasy Pros ADP, he's going 14 picks after Christian Watson. Christian Watson is the most desired Packer right now. Oh, interesting.